Badlands are broken up into two administrative units, the north unit and the south unit. The north unit is located further north than where we are, up along Interstate 90 at the town of Wall. You go south of Wall, you come into the park, and that's where you pay to go through. That's where most of the people go. We're in the south unit, which is we're probably 25 miles at least south of Interstate 90 and Wall. And the south unit is still national park, but there's no gates or entry fee. It's just kind of open. You drive through it, and at some point further to the south, the south unit is on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. So that's kind of how the park is set up. Okay, welcome back everybody to Rockin' Dr. Rocks. Briggs behind the camera and me, we're here at the Badlands again today. And we're going to take a walk out into this area that you see out here in front of me that I named several years ago Turtle Flats. And that's because there's turtles everywhere out here. So hopefully we'll be able to find some turtles and show you what they look like in the ground. Okay, so one of the things about the Badlands is the unique formations out here. You know, the general formation of the Badlands, again, are these relatively flat-lying silts and sands that form this kind of layered view that we see here. And then there's a lot of deformational features that are and structural features that penetrate in through the Badlands. And one of the things that's really common out here is a dike system, or fractures in the rock that are filled by some other material. So the ground here, if Briggs pans around, you'll see the ground is full of all these they're like plates. And listen to them, they sound like glass plates. And they're quartz. And this is a form of quartz called chalcedony. And they form in dikes. So fluids rising up through the fractures in here, then precipitating. Here is a dike that is sticking up on the ground, and you see them coming across at different angles. So out here then, the chalcedony dikes, the fins, they break off, and the ground is carpeted. It's kind of gray. All the way out here, it's all these little glass platelets and shards that have broken off from these dikes. So we'll walk along. Hopefully we'll find some turtles. Maybe we even find a jawbone or something out here. And so come along as we go explore the Badlands.
This?
I thought it might look like a turtle shell, but it's not. This is also part of the old World War II bombing run, bombing range in here, and I know there are separate places here where they would actually drop bombs, and then there were places where they would practice their strafing, shooting their machine guns. And out here I have found tips of bullets, 50 caliber rounds, so almost 3 inches long, in pristine condition, not even beat up, so they just kind of skimmed across the surface. And then several ejected 50 millimeter casings that have been laying out here as well. So, maybe we'll be lucky enough and find one of those today as well. And I'll also say that I do not have my rock hammer with me. This is a national park, and collecting and disturbing things are prohibited. So I do not carry my rock hammer here in the park. There's where I always come down right there. So you can see this surface is all cracked, mud cracked. So dry, desiccated surface. You get all these mud curls on it. This is a clay material. Very, very, very fine grain. Again, if it's wet, it has the consistency of thick pudding. Very, very smooth. There's no coarse grains in it at all, and is extremely good for putting on your, making a mud out of it and putting it on like a bee sting, and then letting it dry out on your skin. And it will take away the bee sting almost immediately. Okay, so this is a perfect example of a sod table. And you can see back here that it's kind of a pedestal sticking up out of the ground at some elevation. These are about 3 feet high here. There's maybe 6 inches to a foot of soil developed on there, and then there's a sod cover or a grass cover. And so these are protected remnants. The whole ground level, you know, was at this level at one point, and now it's been degraded to where we're walking here. And so, Briggs, turn the camera back this way. So immediately behind me is a sod table that's the same height as the one we were just looking at. And then you go across the valley and you see another big badland wall over there, topped by another flat top. So all these buttes are flat topped. They are, they're tables. And so all the names out here for the features are reference to some name of a table that talks about a certain location and these flat top buttes. So throughout the Badlands, on top of the buttes, things out of the national park anyway, a lot of them are ranched and farmed. So there may be cultivation up there and some cropping or livestock running on those things. Here in the park though, it's just the everything is left to nature. There's no interaction or no farming or anything like that allowed, no cattle grazing. So it's just a wild nature. This whole area is hiking. Some of the areas, I think you can take horses. You can camp in here. They have campgrounds, but I think you're allowed to camp as well. If you do, make sure you have water with you because it's pretty hot. And the surface in here, these clays are white, which is why they're called the White River Badlands. And so they're very reflective of the sun. And I can come out here, especially early in the season, and completely stay shielded from the sun as far as my face is concerned, and yet be bright red when I get home because the reflection off of the ground back up underneath the brim of my hat is very, very, very strong. Okay, so we're gonna walk along some of these sod tables and just keep an eye out, and down where these flat pediments reach the sod table is where we'll find, hopefully, some turtle shells eroding out. So come on, let's see if we can find some. Okay, so here, if you can see all these dark brown pieces, these are pieces of turtle shell. And if you can see the imprint on here, you know, the turtles kind of have that pattern on their back. This is that pattern here. So this used to be a shell right here, and you know, they become exposed and then they weather and they break apart. And it just depends on how big the shell is, and if there's cracks in it, is how long they last. So I said that I named this area Turtle Flats about 10 years ago. From 2010 to 2013, I had a active research grant with the National Park Service here at the Badlands to look at and try to define erosion processes and erosion rates. And so I had several sites set up across the Badlands, monitored for precipitation, and I set them up around fossils, monitored the rate of degradation of the land surface in relation to the fossils. And so when we were setting up our research sites, we came out here and walked around to see if there were fossils out here. And we just found turtle shell after turtle shell after turtle shell here, plus oreodont bones, which oreodont is a small, kind of like a sheep-sized, large dog, sheep-sized critter. A lot of those bones out here, and so I named this area Turtle Flats. So it's a flat plain. A lot of these sod tables standing up 10, 15 feet in elevation about above them. So up here right behind me, this is a sod table. And again, it's fluvial. You can see some cross bedding up there from the deposition. Then back behind us over here is another sod table. And if we look on down to the valley, and this is looking north, it's just all these series of sod tables with all this area that's eroded in between. So we're just, and there's water right here in front of us, so we got to work our way around this creek. This is clay, so it's relatively impermeable. So when it rains and water gathers in here, then it does not infiltrate into the ground much at all. And so on the surface, even though it might have been weeks or a month without rain, there's still water in this channel, because the only way the water goes away is evaporation. So we'll try to sneak around this water over here and continue on up. Okay, so we're kind of running into a little problem here. This stream here, in all the years I worked out here, I would always cross right there. And the only time the water was in this channel was in the early spring during the rainy and snowmelt season. And now it's standing water in here all the way through. And so I'm guessing that somewhere in these flats, up over here somewhere, there was some type of a slope failure that put a bunch of material in this channel and plugged up the flow, because this is not flowing, it's just stagnant water. And it is not infiltrating into the ground, so it's just sitting here, evaporating very, very, very slowly. This is probably, oh, you know, that could easily be 3 to 4 feet deep through here. And I know that channel up there where I used to cross is several feet deep. And then the bottom is all soupy and muddy, and you may even sink in higher. If we can get down to here, maybe we can jump across that. This area right there, that pedestal right in front of us, right where my stick is pointing at that'd be the north end of that little sod table there. I mean, that sod table is probably 15 feet high, 50 or 60 feet long, and one of my research sites was at the end of that. And then out into this flat area out in front of that table is where there were just turtle after turtle after turtle. A lot of fossil oreodont bones, particularly small femurs and joints and things like that were common. And so that's where we were trying to work to. This whole ground is very dry up here. The whole surface is penetrated by, there's some big tension fractures up here, which means this is dry and this stuff is ready to fall away and slide away. But it looks like it's a table all the way across here, and there's no way to get across that creek except come in from the other side, which we are probably not going to do. Okay, so I think we'll probably, there's the truck back there. So we're only about a quarter mile from the truck, but we're already stopped. This is the second time now. I was in here last year to do some monitoring on my erosion site, and I was blocked out of here as well. I couldn't find a way in, and I am not going to climb down this 12-foot vertical cliff and try to get back out of here. So I haven't been out there since 2018. And looks like we're stopped again this year. So, well, we'll go back out a little different way, and hopefully we'll be able to find a carapace in position, non-eroded, so you can see the whole shell. So hopefully we'll be able to find something. So here's a quartz cobble. You know, that's probably 5 inches in length. And those, again, if you remember from previous videos, quartz is very, very resistant to weathering, and so is a persistent material in the erosional environment. And so out here you find several quartz cobbles, chert nodules like this one. And those are all survivals from erosion transport from the Black Hills, some 60 miles to the west, that made it down here in the river systems as quartz cobbles, and then are showing up in this rock. In some areas down here, the little depositional units are just like an old abandoned river channel with quartz cobbles and boulders in it. And here's another quartz cobble from the Black Hills. So a lot of the coarser materials here came here through river systems, and to make it this size this far out from their source is quite remarkable, and it really speaks to the power and the competency of the river systems that existed back at that time. Now, if you remember, one of our early videos we did was in Pony Gulch, and we were in the metaquartzites and quartzite and quartz veins in those rocks. In that area, that's a source of a lot of this black chert that we see here on the surface of the Badlands. So in those videos, if you watch them, you're standing kind of at the source of the material that we're looking at here now on the other side of the Badlands. This place changes very rapidly. My research conducted just over 3 years, and we had a very, very dry year, we had a very, very wet year, and then one average year. So try to average erosion rates, and it's highly variable throughout the park, from close to 1 inch to less than 1 inch. The average for the entire park from all of my sites was roughly 1/2 inch a year of erosion. So, you know, that's quite a bit. So in a decade, you know, you'd have 5 inches of erosion. You know, in 100 years, you know, then you'd have 50 inches or 4 feet. So in geologic terms, that's pretty rapid. Come on, turtle shell, where are you? Turtle, turtle, turtle. Okay, here's a bunch of bones. So here's kind of like a knuckle joint. You can see where a ball and socket or something was in here. And there's I think that's a joint of some kind as well. I don't think that's a vertebrae, but I am no paleontologist. So these are pretty small critters, again, size of a, you know, a sheep or a small dog. So these are probably Oreodont. Maybe we'll be lucky enough and find part of a skull around here. Let's keep looking. Okay, so I said the temperature right now is about 90 degrees, and this white surface is reflecting the heat, and my camera keeps shutting off saying it's too hot. But here is a femur, or some kind of a leg bone, and a bunch of smaller bone fragments around here. Still hunting for a jawbone or something that we can see some teeth. So we'll keep looking, and I'll come back on if we find something. Okay, here's a part of a jaw of some critter, and these are teeth right here, so they're quite large, 1.25 inches maybe, and that fits together something like that right there. This is not an oreodont, I don't believe. Don't know what it is. Could be part of a, they call them a heracodon. It's kind of like a rhinoceros type of a critter. But I've seen teeth from that before, and they don't look quite like this unless these were broken a weird direction. I think the cusp is right here at the top of the tooth. So I think the whole tooth goes around like this, and this is a big flat surface. Anyway, there's a tooth. You can see there's enamel, fossilized enamel. And this is the kind of thing, I don't know exactly what techniques they would use, but again, this is going to be 30, 35 million years old. But there's probably some dating technique that can be used to date this material to see how old this critter is. And then, of course, paleontologists, or if they're watching this, they're laughing right now because they go, oh, that's so-and-so, and they know exactly what it is. But I don't. So in the park, this is what we call leverite, or lever right there, because you can't collect it. And I'm still trying to find a jaw section with intact teeth or a whole turtle shell, so we'll keep looking here for a minute. Yeah, another part of the same tooth. Well, we didn't have much luck here. The way to the area where most of the turtles are that I know of or knew of, at least a decade ago, were blocked by that stream channel that was probably 6 feet wide and more than likely 2 feet deep, and then the bottom of it's just solid clay mud that you'd sink up to your ankles or maybe even deeper, and there's just no way I'm gonna try to cross that, nor am I going to jump across it. So we tried to look around some of these other tables here and just found a couple of teeth of something, pieces of turtle shell and pieces of leg bone, but nothing dramatic. So we'll keep this on the back burner for future episodes as well coming down, and I know some other areas that should have some fossils in there. We'll come to another day and do some other videos. So at least I hope you enjoyed a look at the Badlands through these couple of videos here, and if you've been here, you've seen it, you know what it's like. If you haven't been here before and you've seen these and it looks pretty interesting, they are, and you should come out and check them out. It's worth the trip. So again, thanks for watching. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the like button as well. That lets YouTube know that you like the content, and then they put it up on other people's feeds, and then the audience will grow so everybody can enjoy this beautiful country that we're filming here. And so thanks for watching. See ya.